Yes. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyev Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये हरे कृष्ण. So welcome everybody. We have Anuradha Mataji also joining, and we have Rakesh also joining. Rakesh. So last session, basically what we discussed was Bhishma Parva. Okay. So in the Bhishma Parva, Bhishma Dev fought very ferociously with the Pandavas, and Arjuna was about to be killed in that battle. That was a very fierce battle. Bhishma had taken a vow that with these 5 arrows, I'll kill the 5 Pandavas. So when Krishna heard this, Krishna sent Arjuna, go and get those arrows. So Arjuna got those arrows, and then he could not, Bhishma could not kill. But he took another vow that tomorrow either Arjuna will be dead or Krishna has to break his vow. Two things, one of the two things should happen. So there Bhishma fought so fiercely, Arjuna was really about to be killed. Then Krishna had to protect Arjuna, at the same time keep the promise of Bhishma, because Bhishma is his devotee. So Bhishma, being his devotee, he cannot, Krishna cannot see Bhishma's vow turning false. So what he did, let me break my vow. Who cares? I have taken a vow that I will not fight, but who cares? I will not care about my vow. My real care is to protect my devotee. So when he wanted to protect his devotee, Arjuna, Krishna jumped from the chariot, took his wheel, and then rushed towards Bhishma. And Bhishma kept his bow and arrow aside and prayed to folded palms and offered prayers to Krishna. It's wonderful. In Bhagavatam also you read many prayers of Bhishma Dev, where he's remembering the beautiful form of Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, with his body covered with dust from the hoofs of the horses, his hair flying in the air and all dusty, and then beads of perspiration on his face, with his dhoti like a lightning. So he's looking very attractive, and Krishna is remembering this form. So this is the meditation of Bhishma, because Bhishma is in Virya Rasa. He's Krishna's devotee. Okay, we have Brinda joining. She's telling, sorry for joining late. I had been outside. No problem. So thank you for joining. So then next day in the fight, there is Shikhandi on the Ratha next to Arjuna. And then Arjuna fights with Bhishma, and then he shoots arrows at Bhishma. And here Bhishma, by the will of the Lord, he is defeated. All the arrows piercing his body, and is lying on the ground. And then the war stops. So this war, on the 10th day of the war, the people stop fighting and they all come to pay respects to Bhishma, who has fallen on the ground. And then Arjuna gives a pillow of arrows to Bhishma. And then everybody offers respect to Bhishma. Then Bhishma says, now my time is over. So I'll be lying here. I'll leave my body on my own will. Whenever I wish, I will leave my body. Like that he says. So that's what happened in the last session. Rishi is telling about Bhishma Stuti. Bhishma Stuti will come later, after the end of Kurukshetra war. after Yudhishthira becomes the king, after that, when Yudhishthira Maharaj was lamenting, at that time Krishna brings Yudhishthira to Bhishma, and then Bhishma speaks wonderful instructions to Yudhishthira. And after speaking those instructions, Bhishma focuses on Krishna fully and glorifies Krishna. So that prayer is called Bhishma Stuti. Tribhuvana Kamanam Tamala Ravikara Gauravarambaram Dadane Vapuralakukula Vratananabjam Vijaya Sakhira Tirastumi Navadya. So Bhishma is offering these prayers. This stuti comes in Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10. So there Bhishma is 11 shlokas, he is glorifying Krishna. And after glorifying Krishna, he fully focuses his mind on Krishna and quits his body. So that happens after the battle of Kurukshetra. That's called Bhishma Stuti. So today we'll continue from where we left last time. Bhishma is lying on the arrows. So at the end of the 10th day. So when Dhritarashtra hears the news that Bhishma is dead, he is not dead, but he is fallen. He is defeated. And Dhritarashtra feels a lot of pain. How is this possible? So then he asks Sanjaya, please tell me in detail what happened. How could Bhishma, such a great warrior, fall? And Sanjaya described the whole thing, whole episode, what happened. And hearing this, Dhritarashtra was pained in the heart. What is the hope for my sons? How will they win? Like that he was thinking. So then he was asking what my sons are doing when they heard that Bhishma is defeated. And Sanjaya says that actually they are preparing for the war again. So the next day they are going to fight. So when Bhishma was lying there, at that time, Karna comes to meet Bhishma. Because Karna had taken a vow that as long as Bhishma is fighting, I will not fight. Either Bhishma will fight or I will fight. Now when Bhishma is defeated, he comes to meet Bhishma. And Karna was also feeling pain seeing Bhishma in this situation. So then he reveals, then Bhishma says, actually, Karna, I am very angry with you. But because you have come here to offer respects to me, no, I am pacified. But my advice to you is, please go and join the Pandavas. You are not the son of Suta, Radheya. You are the son of Kunti. So you are a Pandava. You are the senior most Pandava. Go and join the Pandavas. Whole problem will be solved. Let my defeat become the cause of uniting both the parties. Go and surrender. Go and join the party of Pandavas. That will be the glorious end of this war. Then Karna says, not possible. Because I have been cheated, he always felt cheated. I don't know, why did Kunti leave me? We discussed this in detail. It was not Kunti's fault also. It was Karna's own karma. Because of his past karma, he was left like that in the water and then raised by Adhirata and Radha. And he grew up and he suffered a lot of insults from people. But finally, Duryodhana gave him shelter. So because Duryodhana gave him material shelter, he felt obliged. So let me support Duryodhana. How can I give up supporting Duryodhana? How can I break my friendship with Duryodhana? That was his thinking. But he was not understanding the highest principle, higher principle, that you should follow dharma and be on the side of dharma. Duryodhana is his friend, but he's doing adharma, but still he's supporting. So this was the wrong which Karna was doing. So he did not listen. So then Karna said, I'm going to fight and I'm going to defeat Pandavas, especially Arjuna. And Bhishma said, okay, your destiny to heaven is confirmed, he says. Means what, you are going to die. So go and fight. Fight very bravely. And then ascend into the places where the real heroes, the Kshatriyas, ascend. They go to the heavens. So Bhishma told that you are surely going to die. Go and fight. So because nobody can win Arjuna and Krishna when both are together, who can defeat them? It's impossible. It's Nara Narayana together. How can somebody defeat Narayana? It is impossible. So then Bhishma gives him advice like this, and Karna bows his head, then goes and meets Duryodhana. Okay. So then, after some time, all the Pandavas and Kauravas, they also come to offer their respects to Bhishma. So the 11th day, before the beginning of the war, everybody comes to offer respects to Bhishma. They keep all their weapons away and they come to meet him. So at that time, Bhishma says, I'm very thirsty. My throat is dried up, my body is burning. Please give me water. So Duryodhana immediately runs, gets some water, gets some nice food so that Bhishma can eat. And then Bhishma says, I don't need this water and food. This what the humans consume, I don't want. I need celestial thing. Only Arjuna can give me. Arjuna, my throat is dried up, and my body is burning because of your arrows. I'm thirsty. Give me some water. And Arjuna immediately understands. He takes his bow and arrow. He invests a mantra in that arrow, and then he invokes Parjanya weapon, which gives water. He shoots it just next to Bhishma Deva on the ground, and from the point where he hit the arrow, water comes like a spring. It comes and then directly enters into the mouth of Bhishma Deva, and Bhishma Deva drinks water to his heart's content, and then he thanks Arjuna. This is wonderful. And everybody is amazed, and especially Kauravas become fearful. There is such a power this Arjuna is having. So they got afraid. How can we defeat him like this? So then Bhishma blesses everybody. And actually there Bhishma gives open advice to Duryodhana. Join, make friendship, give back the kingdom of the Pandavas. Duryodhana says, no, I'll not give. So when it says like this, then Bhishma understands that the destruction of Kurus is confirmed. So then both the parties depart and they again array themselves in the army and the fight is about to begin. So at that time, Duryodhana goes to Karna and asks, hey, my friend, now we don't have a commander. Bhishma was the commander till now. Now there is no commander. What should we do? Whom should we appoint? And Karna gave advice that actually there are so many commanders in your army, but I feel Dronacharya will be the best commander because he is the senior most and he is the teacher of all Kauravas. So he'll be the best one. So then Duryodhana goes to Dronacharya and prays, bows down and says, Dronacharya, please, you become the commander-in-chief and lead our army. And Dronacharya says, yes, I will do it. I know all the weapons, I know all the Vedas, and I can lead you. And it becomes a duty to do this service. But I will not be able to defeat Drishtadyumna because he is born to kill me. And he is blessed by the higher powers to kill me. So I cannot fight with Drishtadyumna. He says, fine, no problem. Drishtadyumna, many times you fought with him in these 10 days and he is very weak. I think we can easily defeat him. So then Dronacharya he sat on a chair and then the Abhishek was done and he was coronated as the commander-in-chief of the entire Kaurava army. So being pleased with Duryodhana, Dronacharya asks, so tell me, what do you want? So then Duryodhana says, I want Yudhishthira to be captured. And Dronacharya is surprised, you want Yudhishthira to be captured? Why don't you want him to be killed? Then Duryodhana says, actually, yeah, killing him is good, but if we kill him, Arjuna will become so enraged, he will fight and kill all of us. We cannot stop. So better we will capture Yudhishthir and then invite him for another gambling match and send them to the forest for another 13 years. I think that is a good idea because we cannot fight with Arjuna. I have seen him fighting with Bhishma. Powerful. We can never defeat him. So like this, already Duryodhana had lost hope fighting with of defeating Arjuna. So then he says, okay. Dronacharya says, wonderful. I will do this. We will capture Yudhishthir, but I'll not be able to capture Yudhishthir if Arjuna is with him. Somehow or the other, you have to distract Arjuna from where Yudhishthir is there so that I can go and capture him. So they make a plan, and then Dronacharya sets the whole army, and then fighting starts. So on the 11th day, so the fighting was going on. So Yudhishthir comes to know the news that Dronacharya has taken such a vow that he'll capture me. Then he goes and asks Arjuna what I should do. Arjuna says, no, don't worry, I will be there next to you. And whenever I'm there, nobody can capture you. So that much I'll assure you. So then Arjuna was there constantly with him, fighting on the 11th day of the battle. So on the 11th day of the battle, actually Dronacharya tried a lot to capture Yudhishthira Maharaj. But whenever he tried to capture, Arjuna will come there, and then Arjuna will somehow or the other defeat Dronacharya and then protect Yudhishthira Maharaj. So, so the 11th day this happened. And also there was one king called Susharma. Susharma had was a enemy of Arjuna because Arjuna had so many times defeated this Susharma so many times. She was a little very upset. So on the 11th day, all the fighting happened. Dronacharya could not capture Yudhishthira Maharaj. They were very much defeated by Arjuna. So on the 12th day, when fighting was about to begin, at the time Susharma comes and says that I will help in capturing Yudhishthira. I will fight with Arjuna in such a way that Arjuna will be distracted and he will come out and fight with me. So Yudhishthira will be separately fighting somewhere else. So then Dronacharya can go and capture Yudhishthira Maharaj. So this was the plot. So Susharma with his army, huge army of Trigartas and yeah, so two different armies were there. So these Samsthapakas. So Trigartas and Samsthapakas, these two. So these two armies I will take and I will charge at Arjuna. So that was the plot actually on the 12th day. So Susharma took, and in the beginning of the war, that day war, Susharma challenged Arjuna. And Arjuna couldn't say no, because whenever any Kshatriya calls for war, we cannot say no. So that was the code of conduct. So Arjuna went and started fighting with him. But here, with Yudhishthir, there was Satyaki. Arjuna had told Satyaki, you stay with Yudhishthira Maharaj and help him, protect him. Because Satyaki was taught by Arjuna, and Satyaki knew all the tricks, all the weapons which are taught by Arjuna. So he was competent enough to protect Yudhishthira Maharaj. So they were fighting, Satyaki was fighting here. And there, Trigartas are fighting with Arjuna. And they're shooting so many arrows at Arjuna, and Arjuna is defeating all of them. Actually, in war, in those days, people can shoot one arrow or people can shoot multiple arrows. Sometimes they can take 3 or 10 arrows at a time and then shoot also. And sometimes they can invoke a mantra into an arrow, and then there will be that arrow will split into hundreds and thousands of arrows. So those kind of things are happening. So here, Trigartha army was shooting arrows at Arjuna. And how many were there? 30,000 Trigarthas were there. 30,000 people fighting with Arjuna, and Arjuna was shooting arrows at all of them. And sometimes it was appearing that Arjuna's chariot was filled with arrows from all directions, and they could hardly see the chariot. People could hardly see the chariot of Arjuna, and they could hardly see Krishna. And Krishna will expertly dodge the Rath here and there in the battlefield and take it away. But sometimes they were wounded. Krishna also got wounded, and even Arjuna got wounded. But again, Arjuna will come back into force and again fight. But at that time, what happened here on the side of where Yudhishthira was there, another fierce attack happened here on this side. So there was one king called Bhagadatta on the side of Kauravas, and he had a very big elephant, huge elephant. The elephant name was Supatrika. So this Supratika, this huge elephant was very tall, like a multi-story building. And nowadays we see elephants, they may be one story high, tall, maybe 12 feet, 15 feet high. But this elephant was incredibly bigger. It is said that it could trample on the chariots, and it could kill so many people while walking. And if it falls, hundreds of people will be killed. So that much big elephant was this. And Bhagavata was taking this elephant and charging towards Yudhishthira Maharaj, where Yudhishthira was there. And seeing Yudhishthira in danger, Bhima comes for rescue. And Bhima starts shooting arrows at the whole army of elephants was attacking. So he shoots arrows at all of them. And Pandava's elephant Sena also comes to fight with these elephants. But this big elephant, Supratika, was very difficult to fight. And Bhagadatta on top of the elephant, he was shooting so many arrows at everybody. And Bhima's bow and arrows were being cut. And at one point, what happened? This huge elephant came and trampled on Bhima's rath. So Bhima got down and went below the elephant, and he started beating the elephant from below. Okay, and the elephant was crying, and then some of the elephant little bit. Actually, Bhima could have hit Bhagadatta and elephant from behind and killed them, but Bhima understands, hey, this is not the rule of Kshatriya. Kshatriya should not fight from behind, and they should fight from front only. So in this way, Bhima avoided. But then when he avoided killing them, Bhagadatta started creating more havoc on the side of Pandavas. He's killing so many people. And Bhima got really furious. Then he took a bow and took a kind of a shaft and threw it with such force that it pierced the head of the elephant and pierced very deep into the elephant. And the elephant suddenly got stunned, and then it fell like this. So that was the end of this big elephant. And along with that, the Bhagadatta also fell down. And then Bhagadatta and Bhima fought, and then Bhagadatta was killed in this battle. So after Bhagadatta was killed, so actually at that time what happens? Actually when Bhima was fighting, at that time Arjuna gets a little scared. These people are fighting, so let me also go for help. So when he was about to go for help, but Trigartas challenged, hey, we are a coward, you cannot run away. Then Arjuna, what he did is he took Brahmastras and shot Brahmastras at this Trigartas, Susharma, and very big damage was done there, and they become afraid and they took little backseat. So then Arjuna left that place and came here. Arjuna actually started fighting with this Bhagadatta. Now Bhagadatta and Arjuna, Bhima did not kill. Bhima was fighting with the elephant, he did not kill. But here Bhagadatta comes and fights with Arjuna. At that time, Bhagadatta, he takes one particular weapon. That particular weapon's name was Vaishnava weapon. And he targets it at Arjuna. And when he shot that arrow at Arjuna, Krishna stands up in between and takes that arrow on himself. And then suddenly there is big effulgence and that weapon turns into a garland. Okay. It turns into a garland and it becomes like a flower garland on Krishna. And seeing this, Arjuna asks, hey Krishna, why did you do this? I was competent enough, I could have fought it. And Krishna says, you don't know. Actually, this weapon was given to me, to Narakasura. Given by me to Narakasura on the request of Bhudevi. And this weapon cannot be countered by anybody. That was my blessing. And Narakasura gave this to Bhagadatta. So this weapon could not be countered by you also. Please understand. Then Arjuna feels grateful. Thank you, Krishna. And then Arjuna shoots an arrow and kills the elephant and then kills Bhagadatta. So that's how Bhagadatta was defeated. And then Shakuni comes and starts fighting Arjuna. But Shakuni's all the weapons were defeated by Arjuna and Shakuni starts running away from the battlefield. So now, it's almost midday now. Sun is in the top meridian. Now, Duryodhana is wondering. He comes and tells Dronacharya, Guruji, what you are doing? Arjuna is so powerful. He is defeating everybody. When will you capture Yudhishthir Maharaj? Dronacharya says, as long as Arjuna is near him, I cannot capture. You take Arjuna somewhere else, then I'll try to capture Yudhishthir Maharaj. I'll make a plot. Then immediately Susharma comes and he again distracts Arjuna and takes him to a different direction. Then Dronacharya calls all the commanders and says, now we are making a plot. Arjuna is not here. Now hear the plan. We are going to make a chakra vyuha, like a circle. Chakra vyuha we will make, and we'll capture Yudhishthira Maharaj in this chakra vyuha. Then he gives the whole plan. Chakra vyuha means the whole army is in the formation of a circle. They're facing forming like a circle and standing at the circles. So there are different rows of armies inside that circle. So in between there was Duryodhana and Karna in the center of the chakra vyuha, and in the front where Yudhishthira will be captured, there was Dronacharya, and all other commanders were in between. So whole chakra was formed, and they starts marching towards where Yudhishthira Maharaj was there. And when Yudhishthira Maharaj comes to know that chakra vyuha is coming, immediately calls Bhima, then all the great warriors. Bhima was there, then Virata king was there, Drupada was there, Drishtadumna was there, and then so many, Satyaki was there, Erudi was there. So he calls, what should we do? Who can break this chakra vyuha? I understand that only Arjuna, Krishna, and Abhimanyu, they know how to break chakra vyuha. Now who will break this chakra vyuha? Arjuna is not here, Krishna is not here, so now only Abhimanyu can break. So please call Abhimanyu. So Abhimanyu was called, and Yudhishthira tells Abhimanyu, hey, son of Arjuna, we know that you can break this chakra vyuha. Now this chakra vyuha is coming, and if they capture us, then war is over. So you are the only hope. Please go and fight and break this chakra vyuha. Actually, Arjuna was telling the secret of chakra vyuha to Subhadra. At that time, Abhimanyu in the womb was also hearing this secret. So that's how Abhimanyu knew. But Arjuna did not tell how to come out of the chakra vyuha. How to break he told, but how to come out of the chakra vyuha, he did not tell that. So he knew how to break the chakra vyuha. So Abhimanyu said, I know how to break it, but I don't know how to come out. Then Yudhishthira said, don't worry. When you break the chakra vyuha, we'll be right behind you. I will come behind, helping you. And all our commanders will come inside. Right? Bhima said, I will also come. Satyaki said, I will come. Drupada, Virata, Erudi said, we'll come and we'll break havoc from within. That's what he said. So then we got very much confident. Yes, we will do it. Let's go. So Abhimanyu at that time was only 16 years old. Can you imagine? 16 years means what? 10th standard. Right now, if you compare, it is a 10th standard boy. He was fighting with great warriors of Kaurava army. So that was the caliber of Abhimanyu. See, another lesson we can learn here is when the child is in the womb only, and the child is in the womb, at that time only, they can learn many things. So, especially when ladies are pregnant with children, they can hear Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. Then the child in the womb also already gets samskaras. Even before they are born, they will know the knowledge. Because the sound vibration is so powerful. Sound vibration can even penetrate the child, and it can create an impression in the mind of the child. So that's why many ladies who are about to give birth to a child, they're advised to hear this kind of stories of Ramayana, Mahabharata, and Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. So in this way, Abhimanyu knew all these arts. Even Prahlad also learnt everything in the womb only. Even before he was born, he was a pure devotee by the grace of Narada Muni. So now Abhimanyu, he charges towards the chakra vyuha. So there is a certain way of breaking the chakra vyuha at certain angle. Actually, he started fighting with Dronacharya. He went and he bewildered Dronacharya with a lot of arrows, and then it took a certain angle, and then with a certain angle he went towards Chakra, and then suddenly took a turn and went into a different angle and then entered into the army. right? And the outer ring of the army which was there, he created a groove through that army. And he killed so many people around that. So the big opening was made in the Chakravyuha, and he dashed through it. And he was fighting so fiercely that it appeared that he's shooting arrows like feathers very, very swiftly from his bow and arrow in all directions. Right? So they could see, Dronacharya could see that arrows are coming in all directions. Hare Krishna. Is my audio clear? There's a comment here.
It's clear, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
It's very clear, sir.
Yeah. Somebody is asking me, is Jayadratha Yuddha over? No, today is the Jayadratha Yuddha. So today we'll see fighting with Jayadratha. So today, now we're discussing 12th day. 13th day is Jayadratha. So now, finally, Ashwathama Abhimanyu enters inside, breaks havoc within the Kaurava army. And it is said that single-handedly he was defeating. He was going around playing inside the Chakravyuha. Imagine Chakravyuha is there and inside is going and playing. And millions of armies inside. And he's fighting alone with all of them. Alone. There's no supporting. He and his charioteer. And chariot driver was none other than Daruka's son. Daruka is driver of Krishna. So Daruka's son was driving the chariot of Abhimanyu. And he was fighting. And so many warriors came challenging him. So Karna came. Karna came and he challenged Abhimanyu and he was fighting with Abhimanyu. And Abhimanyu very effortlessly was shooting arrows and he took one particular arrow and shot Karna so badly, it hit his shoulder and he was wounded. And he ran away from there. Karna went wounded and he ran away. And then Duryodhana came. Duryodhana was challenged and Duryodhana was also wounded. And Dushasana came. And seeing Dushasana, Abhimanyu filed, you fellow, you have done so much damage. You have insulted our Pandavas. You have insulted our fathers. You have insulted our Draupadi. I will kill you now. Like that he challenged. And then he shot arrows at Dushasana. And Dushasana was pierced with arrows and then he also was defeated. He also ran away. So in this way, so Karna, Duryodhana, Dushasana, Shakuni, everybody one by one was getting defeated. And Dronacharya was watching this and was amazed. How is it that this small boy doing such wonderful task? So he got very, very perplexed. Then Duryodhana came, Karna came and said, Guruji, what to do now? How should we kill him? Then Shakuni came and gave advice. उसको चीटिंग करके मार देते हैं, इसको स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड नहीं मार सकते, युद्ध में नहीं मार सकते इसको, he's so powerful. So Dronacharya was admiring this son of Arjuna. He's as powerful as Arjuna. Can't you see his power? Such chivalry, such courage, such skills, such purity. He is very pure. So that's why he's able to defeat all of us. So now there is no way we can defeat him, he says. But then Duryodhana, how will we win then? Dronacharya puts his head down and he says, there's only one way. Cheating. Only by cheating we can kill him. I see that only one way by which we can kill him is by Karna should shoot arrows at his chariot. He should cut his bow and he should cut the ropes of the horses. Kritavarma should kill the horses. And then Ashwathama should kill the chariot driver, whose name was Sumitra. And then you, Duryodhana, and Kripacharya, we have to attack Ashwathama Abhimanyu directly. Only then we will be able to defeat Abhimanyu. So he says like this. He was not very happy doing this, but there is no other way. If he had to protect the Kaurava army, then he had to do this. So then immediately Duryodhana says, wonderful, we'll do this. Then everybody surrounded Abhimanyu, 6 people. Right? Who are the 6 people? Karna, Kritavarma, Ashwathama, Kripacharya, Dronacharya, and Duryodhana. 6 people surrounded and they attacked. One person killed the horses, another person broke his bow and the ropes of the horses. And then another person, he killed the charioteer driver. And then and Dronacharya and all, they started attacking Abhimanyu directly. They started shooting, and Abhimanyu was filled with arrows. And another person came and broke his chariot. So when the chariot was broken, Abhimanyu came on the ground, and on the ground he was fighting. And then Abhimanyu suddenly, using his mystic power, he rose in the sky like this, and he was hanging in the sky. And taking his sword and shield, he was shielding, and then he was trying to break all the arrows in the sky. There's mystic power, and there are 8 kinds of mystic power which people in the Vedic culture had. So yogis used to have Anima, Lagima, Mahima, Prapti, Ishitva, Kamya Vashayita, Prakamya. There's like 8 mystic powers. Anima means becoming smaller than the smallest. Right? A yogi can become, if you put him in a small box, he can become small like an atom and come out of the box. That's Anima. Mahima means he can become tall like a mountain. Like Hanuman, when he was about to jump to Lanka, he became tall like a mountain and then he jumped. That's Mahima. Lagima means what? He can float like a cotton in the air. So Abhimanyu used his Lagima Shakti and he was floating in the sky. And from there he was shooting arrows. And Dronacharya, with his arrows, he broke the shield, he broke the sword, and then Abhimanyu came on the ground actually. Now he had no weapons, so what he did, he took a chariot wheel and started rushing towards these warriors. And then Dronacharya and Kritavarma, they cut off the chariot wheel also, and it fell. And then Abhimanyu took his gada. There was a gada lying, his gada, took it, and he started taking his gada and then whirling like this. And then he attacked the chariot of some of the warriors, and then he broke the chariot of Ashwathama, broke another chariot. He was breaking, just beating the chariot like the dhan, dhan, dhan. He was killing all of them. And Dronacharya was amazed, my God, such power. And then they broke the gada also. Then Ashwathama, single-handed, fighting with 6 people. Won't he get tired? And he's fighting alone with so many thousands of soldiers. He got a little tired. He could not, and he had no weapons, no chariot driver. He was alone on the ground now, but still he was very powerful. So at that time, what happened? One of the person whose name was Durjaya, he is son of Dushasana. He took his mace, Gada, and he hit Abhimanyu on the head, and Abhimanyu fell on the ground, dead. So this is how Abhimanyu was defeated. When Abhimanyu was defeated, all the Kauravas started celebrating. But Devatas came in the sky and they started showering flowers on Abhimanyu. Such a wonderful warrior, such a wonderful warrior. Now you may wonder what happened to Yudhishthira Maharaj, what happened to Bhima, what happened to Satyaki, what happened to Drupada and all these great warriors. There something happened. So here, when Abhimanyu entered broke the Chakravyuha and entered inside, there is an opening created. So Yudhishthira Maharaj said, let's enter. So Yudhishthira, Bhima, all were lined. Yudhishthira, Bhima, Drupada, Virata, Satyaki, they were all lined and they were about to charge inside. So at that time, what happened? Jayadratha comes in between. And Jayadratha stops all of them. He starts fighting with all of them single-handedly. And Yudhishthira was amazed. How is this fellow able to stop us? He is not very powerful. But actually, this Jayadratha had got a boon from Lord Shiva that he will be able to stop the Pandavas once in the battle. He cannot kill them, but he will be able to stop them. So here, Jayadratha single-handedly stopped all the 4 Pandavas. Right? Yudhishthira, Bhim, Nakul, Sahadev stopped, and all the Pandava warriors are stopped because of the boon of Lord Shiva. If you remember the story I told some time back, Jayadratha was kidnapping Draupadi, and at the time, Yudhishthira Maharaj and Arjuna, Bhima, they all came and captured the Jayadratha, insulted him, shaved his head here and there, insulted him and sent. And then Jayadratha goes and worships Lord Shiva, and Shiva, and he asks, please give me benediction that I can kill Pandavas. Shiva says, impossible. They are protected by Krishna. We cannot do anything to them. So then Jayadratha says, and Shiva says, okay, you'll be able to stop them once, but you cannot kill them. So that boon Jayadratha used no, and he stopped all the Pandavas. And inside, Abhimanyu alone was fighting. And after some time, there is a sound of celebration heard from within the Chakravyuha. Then Yudhishthira understood, oh Krishna, Abhimanyu is dead. Abhimanyu is dead. What will I tell to Arjuna? What will I tell to Subhadra? So this was all going on in his mind. Okay. So then the evening happened. At the time, Arjuna comes home, comes back to the tent, and he sees that everybody is morose. There is no celebration. And then Arjuna understands something has gone wrong. And then he comes to where all the Pandavas are sitting, and he sees that the chair where Abhimanyu was sitting is empty. And he asks, where is Abhimanyu? Yudhishthira is hanging his head down, and Arjuna understood that the worst thing has happened. Abhimanyu is dead. And Yudhishthira was not feeling, now how can I answer him? What should I tell him? But then Arjuna starts lamenting, he starts crying. He's become so morose that my son, my dear son, is dead. So then Krishna consoles him. Then, so at that time, Arjuna takes a vow. He takes a vow that tomorrow by sunset, if I don't kill Jayadratha, then I will enter fire. That vow he takes. And when they take this vow, immediately there was like celebration. The big sound, Mridanga was beaten, sound, and horns were blown. And Kauravas hear the celebration. What is this? Why they are Kauravas, Pandavas are celebrating? Then they get the news. Jayadratha comes running. He says, I'll not fight. I'm going to run away. Arjuna is so angry. He's going to kill me tomorrow. I'm going to run away. I'm not going to stay here. And Duryodhana assures, don't worry. We are there. Jayadratha, with me, Karna, Shakuni, Dronacharya, Kripacharya protecting you, who can kill you? Don't worry, we will help you. Like that he says. And anyway, even if you are killed, you will go to heaven. So what is the loss? Stay, don't run away. So Jayadratha decides to stay. And here, Krishna is wondering, Arjuna, why did you take such a vow? You should have at least consulted me. Always you take some vows which will put you in trouble. Then Arjuna says, I am so powerful, who can defeat me? And with you being on my side, who can defeat us? Krishna says, don't you know how difficult it is? Dronacharya will surely arrange a huge army to protect Jayadratha. It's difficult. So Arjuna says, nothing, no need of worry. We'll fight tomorrow and we'll surely kill Jayadratha. That is our vow. But Krishna is in anxiety. See, sometimes the devotees make such vows, and Krishna has to wonder how to fulfill it. So that's Krishna's anxiety. See, Krishna was in anxiety. What to do now? She was wondering. But then he says, okay, let's go and console our sister Subhadra. So Krishna and Arjuna go into the chamber of Subhadra. Subhadra is crying. And they both speak some words of consolation. Subhadra becomes a little pacified. So after some time, Vyasdev comes and meets Yudhishthira Maharaj, Arjuna, and then gives some good advice. So they become a little pacified. So like this, they become consoled by the knowledge of soul. Vyasdev comes and says, everybody has to die. Right? Nobody is eternal. And death surely comes. Now or later, death has to surely come. So hearing this, Yudhishthira was consoled. So like this, the whole night passed. And Krishna could hardly sleep. But Arjuna tried to sleep. But after a long time, he got some sleep. He went to sleep. But Krishna could hardly sleep because he was in anxiety. What to do next day? So then, next day morning, meeting was there on both the sides. Kaurava side, Pandava side. Kaurava side, they made an arrangement. It was big arrangement wherein Dronacharya gave such protection. It was like more than 20-kilometer long protection for Jayadratha. So they had kept, Dronacharya had kept Karna just next to Jayadratha. With how many armies, 100,000 horsemen. It's 1 lakh horse soldiers, 60,000 chariots. And then there were 20,000 infantry, 14,000 elephants. So this was the kind of protection was given to Jayadratha. So such a big army just next to Jayadratha and Karna. Huge army was kept. So it was like a needle formation. Jayadratha at the end, and then huge needle formation, which is going to protect Jayadratha. Means what? You cannot straightly come. You have to pass through the needle formation and then meet Jayadratha. And in front of needle was a lotus formation. Okay, lotus, kind of a lotus, where army was arranged like a lotus. In front of, and Dronacharya will be heading this lotus formation, which is the second formation. And then there will be powerful warriors standing next to Dronacharya, and then there will be a crescent-shaped, moon-like shaped army in the front, and in front of that there will be cart-shaped, like a cart army. So it's cart army, then moon-shaped army, then there is a lotus, and then there's a needle, and the end, fag end, there is Jayadratha. Such a huge army. Dronacharya says even Indra cannot defeat this army. Such is the formation of this army, he says. And he's hearing this, Jayadratha gets some confidence. Jaan bachega. So and then here Arjuna and Yudhishthira and they all have a meeting what to do, how to do. And Arjuna is fully confident. He said, will some or the other break this. And Arjuna takes the charge on his own. He says, because nobody was competent enough to fight warriors like Dronacharya. He says, I will fight. But Arjuna was very conscious to avoid Dronacharya. Because his task was not to fight with Dronacharya, his task was to meet Jayadratha and kill Jayadratha. So this was the main task. So Arjuna, whenever Dronacharya came for fighting, he used to avoid him. He'll fight for some time, then avoid. He'll tell Krishna, go away from here because we're wasting time. So like this, he was fighting. So this is the 13th day. As you know, some people say 13 is not a good number because many bad things happen. 13 number inauspicious. They say like that. But here in the army, on the 13th day, it is said that most damage to the Kaurava army happened on this day. Millions of soldiers were killed. Akshohinis of soldiers were killed just by Arjuna on the 13th day. 12th day, Abhimanyu was killed. Right? 10th day, Bhishma fell down. Okay. 11th day, they tried to capture Yudhishthira, but they failed. 12th day, they made Chakravyuha. Abhimanyu was defeated. 13th day, Arjuna is giving a counter attack. But such a fierce attack, he alone is piercing through this army, like kilometers long, some say 20 kilometers long army, was going through alone, fighting. It's already midday, and this is huge army, huge ocean of army in front. He's wondering what to do. So then, but Krishna is there with him. So he's fighting, long fight. 4 hours remaining, only still fighting is going on. 2 hours remaining, still Jayadratha is so far, still 2 kilometers far away. So then, a long fight. A lot of description is there in Mahabharata. Who is fighting with whom? What happened? How many arrows each one of them shot? How Karna tried to counterattack. So all these descriptions are there. But finally, coming to the main point. The main point is Krishna into action. Anytime danger is there, Krishna gets into action. Now, sun is around the horizon, western horizon, about to set. It's like little golden ball, like sunrise and sunset, and like a golden ball of sun. And Jayadratha's flag is visible far away. And Arjuna still has to cover about 2 kilometers of army to meet Jayadratha, and hardly few minutes remaining. And then sun is setting. Now Krishna is wondering what to do now. ये तो मर जाएगा अभी. He has to enter fire now. What to do? Then Krishna, as you know, Bhagavad Gita, Yatra Yogeshwaraha Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanudhara, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nitirmatir Mama. So wherever there is the greatest mystic, Yogeshwara Krishna, how can there be defeat? So at that time, Krishna takes his Sudarshan and puts it on the sun. Right? When he puts it on the sun, immediately it becomes dark. And everybody thinks, oh, sunset, sunset, sunset. Kauravas are jumping, Jayadratha is jumping in the chariot. Oh, I'm saved, I'm saved, I'm saved. Arjuna could not kill me. So, and all the Kaurava armies go off guard. Okay, they all stop fighting. And now Arjuna is wondering what to do. I'm defeated. It's already sunset. I have to enter fire. I have to die. So there is confusion in Arjuna's mind. And Jayadratha is jumping, Duryodhana is jumping, Karna is jumping happily. And now they wonder what to do. Then Krishna is smiling. Then Krishna immediately takes off the Sudarshan Chakra and still the sun is visible. It's about to set, just on the horizon, it's setting in the mountains. And it tells Arjuna, now Jayadratha is visible straight, nothing, no barrier in between. Shoot! Then Arjuna takes a arrow, prays, and Krishna says, shoot in such a way that head should not fall on the ground. That is the condition. Because Jayadratha's father had given a boon to Jayadratha that anybody makes his head fall on the ground, he will die. So Arjuna shot the arrow in such a way, it cut his head flew in the air and went and fell in the lap of his father, who was doing tapasya far away. And when father opened the eyes, some head has fallen, he just pushed it down and he died because he made the head fall down. So in this way, Jayadratha was killed, Arjuna was saved. So this is the inconceivable ways in which Krishna protects his devotees. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paripasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. So Krishna says that anybody who's always thinking about me, who's my devotee, I will always give him protection. Yogakshemam vahamyaham. I will protect him and I will supply whatever he likes. Another shloka he says, Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. Here he is telling, hey Arjuna, declare to this world that my devotee will never perish. My devotee will always be saved. So declare like this. So Krishna is keeping his promise which he made in Bhagavad Gita on the first day of the war. Bhagavad Gita happened on the first day of the war, the first hour of the war. So here Krishna is protecting his vow, keeping his vow of protecting his devotee Arjuna. And Arjuna was protected, he was saved and he felt relief. My God, Krishna is so wonderful. So without Krishna's help, we cannot win any battle. Okay. So this is how we have to put faith in Krishna's protection, Krishna's assurance. So that's why we should choose Krishna's side, not Kaurava's side or the enemy's side. There are two choices in our life, Maya and Krishna. Maya means that which takes us away from Krishna. Okay. Like we have choices at every moment. We have choice of choosing Krishna or choosing Maya. For example, we have a choice of attending Mahabharata class or watching some movie on the TV. We have a choice of either attending Shloka class or watching something else. We have a choice of coming to temple or going to a mall. We have a choice of reading Bhagavad Gita or reading some newspaper or some other novel. Always choices are there. So those who choose Krishna, they will get the guidance of Krishna in all difficult situations. But those who choose Maya, they will not have the courage to make the right decision. They will end up making wrong decisions and perish. So Duryodhana and his company, they are always making the wrong decision. But Arjuna and Yudhishthira Maharaj, they are always making the right decision of choosing Krishna and following Krishna's instructions. So that's why, although Krishna did not fight, Krishna was the cause of victory to the Pandavas. He was the silent You can say, no, there's something called a silent killer. He will not fight, but he will be very instrumental in the victory. Similarly, Krishna was not fighting, but he was very, very instrumental in the victory of Pandavas. Actually, the cause of victory was Krishna only. Because even Arjuna could not be able to fight with all these people. It is said that no, Parikshit Maharaj says, Pita Mahame Samari Amaranjayir Timingala, he says. Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, they were like Timingalas. And Arjuna was like a small fish. How could he defeat all these people? He could defeat only because of Krishna's mercy. So like this, the 13th day ends with the killing of Jayadratha. And next day, Kauravas become furious and they launch a counter-attack. And 14th day, the war is going on and on and on. So many things happen. Let's come to the 15th day. 15th day is the day when actually Dronacharya was defeated. Actually, the Pandavas say we cannot defeat Dronacharya. So that's Yudhishthira Maharaj on the first day only when he went to all the Bhishma and he asked, please tell me the secret how to defeat you. Bhishma had told, approach me later, I'll tell you. And when they asked Dronacharya, please tell me the secret, how can we defeat you? Dronacharya said, I'm very happy with your attitude. In the war, when I hear a bad news, that will force me to keep my weapons away. That time you can defeat me, you can kill me, he says. So now on the 15th day, Pandavas are wondering what to do. See, on the 12th day, Kauravas used cheating to kill Abhimanyu. After that, lot of cheating, means not lot, but some amount of cheating happened in both the sides. Yudhishthira had told, I will not be the first person to break the law. Right? If Kauravas break the law of the wars, then we cannot fight it's the injustice, so we cannot fight properly. So if you break the laws, then we also be forced to break. So it was like that kind of thing happening after that. Some days you will see that even in the night, war was happening. In midnight, war was happening also. So that was the kind of thing which was happening. So when Ghatotkacha was fighting, war went till the whole night, midnight, it was going on. So after 12th day, little here and there fighting was happening, breaking the rules. So on this particular day, 15th day, now they were wondering what to do. Yudhishthira was wondering how to kill Dronacharya. At that time, Krishna comes and tells Yudhishthira Maharaj. Here is a very, very important lesson here, very important topic. Because some people misunderstand this, but we should understand it in the right way. Krishna comes and tells Yudhishthira Maharaj, tell Duryodhana that Ashwathama is dead. Because if you tell, he will surely believe. Because Dronacharya said, if I hear unpalatable news from a reliable source, I will lose courage and then you can defeat me. And the only person was Yudhishthira Maharaj. He said, Yudhishthira, you tell. Then Yudhishthira Maharaj hesitates. I cannot tell. I have always spoken the truth. I cannot tell this. And Krishna said, no, you tell. This is the way. Now here, who is Krishna? Krishna is Supreme Lord, absolute truth. He is telling Yudhishthira Maharaj, no, do this. But Yudhishthira hesitated. So some people think, okay, Yudhishthira did the right thing. He should not. He did the right thing by not telling the truth. But actually, Acharyas say what Yudhishthira did was not right. Because he failed to obey Krishna's order. Because whatever Krishna says is the absolute truth. Ultimate truth. If Krishna says this black is blue, it is blue. That is the absolute truth. So, because when absolute truth says something, that is the definition of morality, the highest morality. What is highest morality? Whatever Lord says, that is highest morality. Now here Yudhishthira Maharaj is hesitating to tell the truth, and he is seeing this. Bhima says, thinks, he is not going to tell this. So he goes, and there was an elephant called Ashwathama. Bhima goes and slaps the elephant, tuck, and that elephant falls on the ground, dead. And Bhima says, Ashwathama is dead. Tell now. Then Yudhishthira says, Ashwathama Marova Kunjarova. He didn't tell. He says Kunjaram is actually elephant. Ashwathama Marova Kunjara. Actually, it is an elephant. But when Yudhishthira was telling elephant, Krishna blew his conch so that it was not heard. So Ashwathama Marova, hearing this, Dronacharya stopped fighting. He lost all his courage. Because he had heard that Ashwatthama is killed, but he was not confident. When Yudhishthira said, it really broke his heart. He sat on the chariot. He kept his bow and arrow aside. He sat on the chariot, closing his eyes like in a deep meditation. Okay. So then Drishtadyumna comes with his sword and then chops off the head of Dronacharya. And this is the way he was defeated. And Dronacharya was sitting in Samadhi at the time. So he went to the higher planets after this killing. Now from this episode, we have to learn one important concept, that there is morality and immorality. Immorality means what? Doing wrong. It's very clear, right? Eating meat, drinking alcohol, telling lies, or doing sinful activities. These are all sinful activities. This is immorality. And there is morality. What is morality? Telling the truth and being kind, giving charity, helping others, giving others some service. This is all morality. But there is higher levels of morality also. For example, I'll tell you one incident. You have to tell me the answer, what you will do. You are standing on a road and one cow runs in front of you very fast. And after a minute, one person comes with a knife in his hand, saying, "Did you see the cow?" Now you're a nice devotee, very truthful devotee. Now what will you tell? Yes.
We will say no, I haven't seen the cow.
You haven't, but you're telling a lie then.
But saving
Yes,
the life of
Prabhuji,
cow
we
is
will
more
say
important.
Okay, thank you, Anuradha.
we will say the truth, but we will say that the cow ran in different direction than the real.
That's still a lie, right?
Yeah, but saving the cow is important.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So, okay, Gauranga is telling will not tell the truth. Lakshmi is also telling will not tell the truth. So now telling truth, immorality means telling lies. Telling truth is morality. Now here telling truth for saving the life of a cow, that is higher morality. Right? So similarly, there are levels of morality. There's not one or two levels of morality. And depending upon a particular situation, what you do determines morality. For example, another example, you are at a traffic signal. Signal is showing red. And you are standing waiting for the signal to become green. Now the traffic police says, you go. Okay. You still, the signal is red, but he's telling you go. Now what will you do?
Will not go.
You will not go. But the traffic police is telling you go.
You will say, Prabhuji, but we should not follow the immorality.
Yeah, but he is the one who has made the traffic signal, right?
Rules are similar for everyone.
Yeah, okay. Lakshmi is telling won't go. Okay. Anybody else has
Prabhuji,
different answer?
If
Yeah,
he says
yes.
only to us, then we should not go. If he says to many other people, like we should consider, is it because the traffic is a problem? And then we should consider and then we should decide.
Okay,
According to
it's not okay. Let's make it more space. It's not Bangalore city where so much commotion will be there. Right? Like there's no other traffic also, other places, other 3 roads. He's telling you can go. By your going, there will be no problem.
no, Prabhuji, then we should not go.
Not go. Okay. See, here we have to understand this point here. See, there is a rule maker and the rule abiders. The rule maker is a traffic police and the rule abiders are all of us. Now, if the traffic police says, okay, now you can go, even if you go, you will not be fined. and there's no accident going to happen, because then only he will say, right? He will say, there's no other traffic there. So traffic police is telling you, you can go. Means what? There is no harm going. And that becomes, that is called as higher morality. We are obeying the rule maker, not the rule. Are you able to understand? There are some rules made by Lord in this world. And if the rule maker Krishna says, now do something else, that doing what Krishna wants, that becomes the rule. That becomes the highest morality. That's the concept we have to understand. What is the highest morality? To obey Krishna, to surrender to Krishna. Now Arjuna did not want to fight because he was, I'm a moral person. Marunga na kisi ko. Krishna said, fight. That becomes highest morality. For the sake of Krishna, fighting becomes morality. Now Bhishma did not want to fight on the side of Kauravas. Krishna said, you be there. Because I want to show to the world through you that even if a great person like you takes side of Kauravas, adharma, you will be defeated. So just to show that, he abided with Krishna's will and was on the side of Kauravas. That's why he is called a Mahajan. So becoming a great devotee is not so easy, because one should be ready to bend as per the will of Krishna. That is the test of a devotee, test of surrender. That's why Krishna says in the end of Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishyami ma suchaha. Means what? Give up all your opinions and just surrender to Krishna and do what Krishna wants us to do. That is highest morality. Okay. So ultimately, what is the lesson? Whatever Krishna wants us to do, that becomes the highest morality. That takes the highest priority. Okay. That's the lesson we should learn from this. So that's why Acharyas do not appreciate Yudhishthir's hesitation in obeying Krishna. So that's why it is said Yudhishthir Maharaj, his rath was floating in the air. It was not touching the ground, earth. But when Yudhishthir hesitated to tell this, his rath touched the ground because he did not follow Krishna. So that is a lesson which Acharyas teach us. So you got the lesson? Whatever Krishna wants us to do, whatever God wants us to do, that is the highest morality. And all other things become secondary. So that's the main lesson we should learn from this. Okay. Okay, Lakshmi is telling yes, I got it.
Prabhuji.
So basically, I'll just summarize what we learned today. Today we began with telling about how all the great warriors on both the sides came to meet Bhishma. Karna came to meet Bhishma on the bed of arrows. Then Bhishma blessed him. You go and fight, you will go to heaven. Means what? You'll be died. You'll die. And then we also saw how Dronacharya was established as the commander, and he was requested with Duryodhana to capture Yudhishthira alive, and he took a vow to capture Yudhishthira Maharaj. But 11th day he failed, and 12th day there was a fierce fight, and then Chakravyuha was made to capture him, and then but somehow or the other Abhimanyu went inside and he wreaked havoc. But Abhimanyu was killed by 6 Maharathis. He was alone fighting with all of them. He was mercilessly butchered. But it was such a heroic fight. I described such a great detail it is. If you read Mahabharata, it is in even more detail. It was thrilling actually. So how such a young 16-year-old boy can fight such fierce battle? It's incredible. And then when Arjuna heard this, how he fought, he was very happy. It's my son. So he was very proud of Abhimanyu also. But he took a vow that tomorrow before sunset, Jayadratha should be dead. And Jayadratha became afraid. He was able to run away. Duryodhana used assurance and used due good protection. And 13th day, Arjuna wreaks havoc in the side of Kaurava army. And then finally, by the help of Krishna, he defeats Jayadratha. And then on the 15th day, Dronacharya was defeated. And we also learned a lesson of morality, immorality, morality, and highest morality from the Yudhishthira Maharaj hesitating to tell lies to Dronacharya. So in this way, 15th day ends. After this, Karna becomes the commander in chief, and then Karna is defeated on the 17th day, and 18th day Shalya gets defeated. So tomorrow's session we will next session we will see how Karna fought, how Ghatotkacha fought with Karna, a very thrilling battle, and then how Arjuna encountered Karna, and then how Shalya was defeated on the 18th day, and then Duryodhana defeated on the last day. So this we will discuss in the next session. And then the last session, we'll have 2 more sessions only. The next session will be the Pandavas gaining victory over the Kauravas. And the last session will be winding up session, how Pandavas, Mahaprasthanika Parva, where Pandavas become the kings, they rule the world, and then they retire. So that's how Mahabharata ends. So we'll end our session in next 2 classes. Okay. Hare Krishna. So if anybody has 1 or 2 questions, we can take now.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, what is Dushasana's wife's name?
Dushala. That is her name. So
Prabhuji, Dushala is Jayadratha's wife.
Duryodhana's sister was his wife. Okay. Yeah. Duryodhana's sister is Dushala. She was the wife. Okay, any other question?
But Prabhuji, Dushasan is also the brother of Dushala.
Oh, sorry. Dushasana. Sorry, Jayadratha's wife was Dushala. Jayadratha's wife. Sorry, I got confused. Jayadratha, one was killed. His wife was Dushala. Because I was discussing about Jayadratha, that is in the mind. Still. Dushasana's wife, I don't know.
Prabhuji, I've heard one thing that Karna had his kavach, and with his kavach on him, he was literally undefeatable on the battle of Kurukshetra. Is that right?
Yeah, actually, Karna had that kavacha, 1 kavacha. Actually, in previous life, he had 1,000 kavachas. 1,000 kavachas. He was a demon called as Sahasra Kavacha. So he attacked Naranarayana. And Naranarayana, they defeated Karna and broke 999 kavachas. Only 1 was remaining. That time he ran away and took shelter of Surya. Then Surya put him as son of Kunti, and Kunti put him in the water. And then he was raised by Adhiratha and Radha. So that 1 kavacha was there. So with that 1 kavacha also, Arjuna could defeat him. First, in Draupadi's, Drupada's, as Guru Dakshina, when they went to fight with Drupada, Karna was defeated, but Arjuna captured Drupada. Second, when in Swayamvara, when Arjuna captured, or Arjuna won the Swayamvara and took Draupadi, he defeated Karna. And third, when Arjuna was
Virat.
rescuing Dronacharya, Duryodhana was being taken away by Chitraratha, Gandharva, Chitrasena. So at that time, Karna could not defeat him, that Gandharva. But Arjuna went and defeated and got him. And last 4th one was Virata. Even with that kavacha, he could not fight. He was defeated. So, and before the Kurukshetra battle, Indra came as a Brahmana and asked, "Give me your kavacha." So Karna gave kavacha, but even if Karna had that kavacha, still Arjuna was in an upper hand. So
Prabhuji,
it's not about being powerful. It's about being how you use that power. That's important. Arjuna, he was using his power to protect dharma, and Karna was using his power to spread adharma. Even if you are very extremely powerful, very intelligent, but if that intelligence is used for wrong purpose, then that is wrong. Like we see many scientists, they are very intelligent, but they create such nuclear bombs which destroy the world. So that misuse, isn't it? That misuse of his intelligence. So right use of intelligence is using the intelligence to spread glories of the Lord. That is the right use of intelligence.
Prabhuji, but I think both Pandavas and Kauravas couldn't have won because Ghatotkacha's grandson was there, but Krishna killed him because he was undefeatable.
Who was he?
Prabhuji had 3 arrows and Krishna asked him to cut all the leaves of the tree.
Acha, that incident.
Barbaric.
Yeah, I forgot his name.
Barbariga.
Barbaric Prabhu.
Barbaric. Okay. So ultimately, you see, Krishna is there, then victory will be there. That is the ultimate rule. That is the main thing we learn here in whole Mahabharata. Whereas Krishna is there, there is victory. There's one question coming in the chat. Susharma, the one who took away the cows during the fight. Yeah, correct. Susharma was the one who took away the cows. And all this Virata with Kanka, Yudhishthir Maharaj, Tantripala, Vallabha, Bhima, they all attacked. And they defeated Susharma. So that's why Susharma was very angry. So I will take revenge against Arjuna. So Arjuna was taken away by Susharma, and then Chakravyuha was brought to Yudhishthir Maharaj. That's how they could defeat.
Prabhuji, I have heard that means when the incarnation of Lord Krishna was done in Mathura at the same time, means Vishnu Tattva incarnated in Mathura, and Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna means took the birth in the house of Nanda. And when the father of Krishna, Vasudeva, means took the Krishna to the Vrindavan. So at that time, both Vishnu Tattva and Krishna Tattva combined and became one son. To Yashoda, one girl and one boy was born. Is it true?
Yeah, correct. So Krishna appeared in both places, in Vrindavan as son of Yashoda, and in Mathura as son of Devaki. So Devaki Nandana is called as Vasudeva Krishna, son of Vasudeva. And who was born to Nanda is called as Vrindavan Krishna. So Vrindavan Krishna is the original Krishna, and Vasudeva Krishna is his expansion. So Krishna, when he was born in Mathura, he requested Vasudeva, you take me to Nanda Gokul. So Vasudeva Krishna, when he was brought to Vrindavan, he merged into the body of Vrindavan Krishna. And that baby girl who was there was taken by Vasudeva back to Mathura, whom Kamsa tried to kill, but she slipped from the hand, and she warned, took the form of Durga and said, hey, you fool, your Kala is born somewhere else. Like that says. Correct. So, but the one who was born in Krishna, born in Vrindavan, was born in invisible form. It was not visible. So Yashoda knew that. Yashoda didn't even know who was born. She was unconscious. So when
Prabhuji, it is said that that Vrindavan Krishna never leaves Vrindavan.
yeah,
So why
Vrindavan Parityaja Padamikam Gachati. Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. Yes. What is your question?
So why all the gopis and Srimati Radharani was crying when Krishna went to Mathura?
Yeah,
If
beautiful, wonderful question. Thank you. So Krishna never leaves Vrindavan, and he never left Vrindavan. So Vrindavan Krishna never left Vrindavan, but Vasudeva Krishna. See, when Akrura was taking Krishna and Balaram on the Rath to Mathura, at that time Krishna and Balaram go to take bath in Yamuna at the junction of Vrindavan and Mathura. At that time, Vrindavan Krishna stays back, and Vasudeva Krishna continues in the chariot. So that's what happened. So Vrindavan Krishna stays back invisibly, or you can say he stays back in the hearts of his devotees, hearts of the gopis. He was not visible to gopis outside, but he was there in the hearts of the gopis, giving them more feelings of separation, more intimate remembrance of his. So although Krishna was not present physically in Vrindavan in the eyes of gopis, but he was there in the hearts of the gopis. That's why gopis were sustaining their life, remembering Krishna in separation. So this is what Acharyas have explained, that Krishna stayed in the hearts of the gopis invisibly. Because Vrindavan is Krishna's home. Krishna never wants to leave home.
Prabhuji, we are doing means we are trying to become the devotee. We are trying to chanting the holy name of Krishna, but still I'm not happy that I'm not feeling that I'm giving my 100% to please the Krishna. Like I'm feeling that I'm lacking somewhere. So what I should do?
Yeah, so best thing to do is we should have a mentor, like we have spiritual mentors. I'm sure you also have one mentor, or you should we can connect you to a
Yes,
mentor.
Prabhuji, I have taken the Guru Mantra
Uh,
before 2-3 years.
yeah, you told me that, but we should have some immediate senior whom we can ask some guidance from. So some senior Matajis who can guide you on what service to do, what service to take up, what books to read, okay, how much to chant. So all these things we can do. So by that close guidance, what will happen? We will be able to progress faster. We can feel that satisfaction also. Like we had introduced some mentors. If you're not in touch with mentors, we can introduce you. So you can write a mail, then we'll introduce you to one mentor. So, and then you can be in touch and then take more close guidance from them. So that will
Okay,
help actually.
Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, because spirituality requires close mentors. Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much. So mostly we'll be able to have a session next Saturday. Last Saturday I was in Udupi, so we are traveling, so we could not have. So, but next Saturday I'll confirm you soon and we'll tell. Okay, there is another question coming here. Important. You said that people who choose Krishna will prosper. I chant, read books of Prabhupada, but I also read novels. Like, is it wrong? Yeah, because novels are mainly fictitious, imaginary stories concocted by somebody. Like, Harry Potter or this, that, Sherlock Holmes. People read such kind of novels and all. But what is there? There's only imaginary stories. So rather than reading imaginary stories, let's read about Hari. Instead of Hari, let's read about Hari. Krishna book, Mahabharata, Ramayana, wonderful Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. There are so many incredible stories. We cannot finish also. So many stories are there. Again and again you can read. You can find that happiness. Do you have Ramayana classes? Yeah, Ramayana class is going on. Swayam Prakash Prabhu is taking. So you can join that. Every week he takes Ramayana class. I don't know which day, but I can let you know. So would you want to join, Branda?
Yes,
Ramayana class?
Prabhu.
You want to join? Okay. What you do, you put your number here. Type your number on the chat box. We will connect you to Swayam Prakash Prabhu. And he is taking Ramayana. And Ramayana competitions are also happening now. Yeah, Tuesdays. Okay. I'll send this number and connect you to Ramayana group. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. So thank you very much. We'll meet again next week. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.